For today's video, I am using Winsor Newton watercolors, and I will have a list of which colors exactly I use down below. But I have been in love with the color Burnt Sienna. I generally don't like browns, but I think the Burnt Sienna has enough yellow in it when it dries that I don't really think of it as a brown. And I really love how it interacts with the purples and the pinks. I did, however, start out with the green, and I put quite a bit of green down first. So once I had the green down, I added some pink, and then I went in with the burnt sienna. And I was a little worried that it was going to get too muddied, but I just wanted to see how these three colors interacted with each other, because they're not generally colors that I would combine, but I was hoping that the burnt sienna and that pink would mingle together and give me something pretty. Would I choose this palette again? I don't know. Like I said, green is not generally something I feel I gravitate towards, but sometimes you gotta push yourself a little bit outside the box. Like with that burnt sienna, I never thought that I would enjoy working with it as much as I do lately. So instead of working just with purples and the burnt sienna, I figured I should probably mix it up a little bit for you guys so you don't get too bored seeing the same colors over and over. I also have been painting with it off camera quite a bit, so I felt like, oh, maybe I should just try something new. But anyway, I lay down the colors, and there is no plan, and that's what I like about it. Just intuitively put down the colors and see what comes of it. And once again, I start horizontally and I end up vertically, and somehow that always happens. I don't know. Maybe it's because when I paint, the strokes go left to right and not the other way, and so when I start doodling, then I see those vertical lines. I don't know, maybe that's why. Who knows what's going on in my brain? I do have to say though, it keeps me thinking on a different level, if that makes sense. I don't think about worries or the things that I have to do during the day, which are usually things that I do on a daily basis, like, especially now that the kids are home during the summer. What are we gonna do? What do I need to do for grocery shopping? Stuff like that. It just stimulates my brain in a different way, and I like it. I like it. So now I'm just intensifying the colors because watercolors tend to dry a little bit lighter than when you first put them down. And I also added a little bit of a lighter green just to complement those colors a little bit more. And then I went over those white spots because they were just a little bit too bright. I didn't want to add any more colors, so I just used some of the the dirty water, and I added it, and it seemed to fill that space a little bit more without it being so stark white. And then those are just some of my favorite pens lately. I'm really enjoying the Faber-Castells, except as you see later on in this video, for some reason with these watercolors, they were giving me a little bit of a harder time, especially the thinner ones. I don't know what happened. They just weren't playing along as well as they did in other videos. Maybe I've been just using them so much that they're starting to dry out. That's a possibility too. But generally, I really enjoy the Faber-Castells, I have to say. So I'm looking for shapes, and I'm following certain color blobs. Sometimes it takes me a little while to figure out where I want to go, and most of that gets cut out in the final cut here in my videos, but there's a lot of hesitation in my hand when I look for those shapes. So I usually tend to cut those out. Here you see me struggling. Even the Micron pens were giving me a little bit of a hard time. So I was trying to figure out which pen would work, and they just would not work well on this background. I don't know what was going on. But I feel like sometimes it's good to leave those things in so that everybody can see that not everything always works 100% of the time when you do these videos. Sometimes I wonder if I should leave more of my hesitating and, more of the background stuff that goes on when I film these videos, if I should leave that stuff in. But I'm always worried that people get bored watching it, and that's why most of my footage is also sped up a little bit so that I can get through it quicker. In reality, these videos or these paintings usually end up being about a couple of hours long, and I don't think YouTube is the right platform to keep all of the nitty-gritty in. So, I wonder if people would be interested in seeing raw footage, and if you do, let me know, because I could potentially start a Patreon where I just put down the raw footage, and if you're interested in seeing what goes on behind the scenes, then you can go there and watch it. And that would mean that you would also not get interrupted by ads. Because the girls gotta make some money somehow, because those art supplies are not cheap. So if that's something that you would be interested in, let me know. I could put down some commentary and, just explain my process as well. But yeah, there's a lot of hesitating, a lot of thinking, a lot of, where does my hand go? I don't know. What should I do next? And for some people, this is helpful to see, and others can't care less, which I get. I'm not always in the mood to watch the behind the scenes footage. So YouTube ends up getting the pretty end result. But I'm gonna think about it a little bit more, and maybe you can voice your opinion in the comment section if you would be interested in all of the background stuff. And maybe once the kids are back in school and I have a little bit more free time, I can think about adding a few more interesting things to my repertoire and share it with you. I feel like now that I have done this for a solid year and I have figured out what works for me and tested out a few things here and there, it might be interesting for someone who's just starting out to hear what I have to say. And also from coming from somebody who does not have a fine arts background. When I was younger, I was under the impression that maybe someone who hasn't studied fine arts has no right to talk about art. And the imposter syndrome kind of makes itself present every now and then. If you are passionate about something and you spend a lot of time on it and you gain experiences that way, it's not wrong to want to share that. It's not that I am teaching you something and that you should follow that as, a rule of thumb. No, it's about sharing my findings and sharing my passion and explaining why I do the things that I do. And maybe someone has something to add to that, and or can, tell me and others how they do it. And so it feels more like a collaboration, which can be fun. I don't know. I'm just over here blabbling because most of the time I don't know what to say in these voiceovers. So just thinking out loud and sharing my thoughts with you all. And I hope that's okay. I wonder how many of my subscribers have their own YouTube channel where they maybe are creative, be it drawing or painting or crafting or whatever. So if you have a YouTube channel, comment down below and let me know what it is so I can go and check it out. And I will give you a sub as well. And that way we can help each other out. I know it can be hard to gain subscribers, especially when you're just starting out, so every little bit helps. Speaking of subscribers, I gained quite a few new ones over the past few weeks, and I wanted to take this opportunity to welcome you and thank you, and I hope you like my content and you find it interesting and maybe learn something or, get some ideas, if nothing else. So that's always fun. I do that a lot. I check out other people's works, and then I take some inspiration from theirs and I try to incorporate it into my own, because, you can't always think up new stuff. So it's okay to take inspiration from other people and then try and figure out how to make it your own. That's what I did when I was doing cookies. Because, you know, the customer might have some ideas. But then they always say, oh, you know, use your creative freedom. And sometimes you're a little tired of thinking up your own stuff. And then when you see how other people do it, you're like, oh, let me try that. And luckily, we all have our own style and can make it look our own. And that's what's so fun about being creative. But we're reaching the end here, and somehow it turned out like cacti. Interesting, huh? Didn't see it until I just now looked at the footage. So, but it does look like cactuses to me. Cactuses, cacti. You be the judge. But anyway, thank you so much for watching and listening to my rambles, and I'll see you next time.